Afternoon, welcome back. Okay, so meetings reconvene. We are on page 66, 7.6, update on representation review. Jeff, are you leading?
I am indeed.
Thank you.
Sure. As we all know, we're going through a legislative process every 6 years of the representation review. We had this together as part of the workshop. A number of other ideas were considered, but they were impractical, unlikely to receive the approval of the Electoral Commission. As a result, those ideas have been dropped and we're left with three options available to us. One is the status quo of what we have here today. The second option being moving to rural and urban wards, and the third option being a mixture of rural, urban and at large. I'm happy to take questions on this process.
Excuse me. Are there any questions, comments? Councillor Lawrence?
I'd comment. Just considering we had the workshop Wednesday of last week, getting this paper out a couple of days later was.
Thank you to the team.
Yeah. And secondly, I'm pleased that it's come to council, because at least it means that when we do go out to consultation, that there is something we've documented that we're actually happy with it, rather than coming out of the workshop which seemed a bit wrong. So, good. Thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Councillor Ailing?
Hiya. One question I had, when we had the discussion in the workshop last week, we talked about having the other parts, the other things that we discussed in the report, and I didn't see any mention of the other options that we did discuss on the day. And I just felt it was worth noting that conversations were had around other things that were brought to consultation, such as the number of councillors that we have on our council. And it said that there were other options online, and I couldn't see anywhere where that was on our website. So just a question around that.
Fundamentally, the question is, why is it not in the paper? Is that?
Yeah. And where is it on the website? if it, yeah, it's two points.
Can I ask Marcus?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Ailing. There was a brief mention of the number in the paper. It probably could have been expanded on, and on the website question, it will be in 24, maximum 48 hours time. The workshop documents are on the website already. The full representation review page will go live end of tomorrow, Friday at latest.
Okay, no, that good to know it's going up. I would hate to think that any of our community would look on the paper and think we didn't consider other options, because it seems like we were fixed on an 8 council to start with, and I just wanted to flag that it was a discussion that we had in depth in the meeting last week.
Of course, I'll send you the link through as soon as it's gone live. I can send the 2 workshop documents now.
Perfect. Thank you, Marcus.
So I take it, Councillor Ailing, your point is that this paper doesn't mention the fact that the council did consider a reduction of 6, the question of whether there should be a reduction to 6 councillors, and discussed it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was worth noting that the conversation was had in depth.
Okay, so now noted in the minutes. Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Councillor Dell.
I just got a comment back. The bit of feedback that came through our rural advisory group was that perhaps the rural ratepayers of our area would be better represented by going into rural wards or rural and at large councillors. So these are options that are in the discussion documents, and I just urge rural ratepayers to read and submit on to the options that are available to them if they feel that they're not getting a a fair representation, now's the time to do it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Thank you, councillor Adela. Couldn't have said it better. Any other questions or comments? It was a very good workshop, I believe, and I share the same view as councillor Lawrence. Turn that around and have it in the paper that quickly was good.
Okay.
All right, so it looks like we can move straight to the recommendations. Can someone like to move we receive the report? Councillor Lawrence, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All in favour? Aye. Against? Abstentions? There be none. Motion's carried. Thank you. 7.7, page 69. CE's report. Keith?
I could wax lyrical for a long period of time and you all look fairly fine. So I will take the report as read and note there's just a couple of things worth highlighting that I would like your feedback on, your noting. One being just our annual membership for Local Government New Zealand has come up and I just wanted to let you have the ability to discuss that before we proceed with a payment or not. And secondly, I just wish to highlight some of the work that the team has been doing in and around waste and getting those new aerator in, which is a fantastic update. Some of the work that the rest of the team is doing behind the scenes on rating, on finance, on building and regulatory and parks and reserves is highlighted in here as well. Finally, the last piece, which is Wellington Regional Leadership Forum, which is something that the Mayor attends on behalf of Council and I attend as an observer, is a piece of work that's currently going on with the Wellington region. It was designed initially for housing strategy and an economic development strategy, and it's currently figuring out whether or not it is still of value to the Wellington Region Council. Peter.
There's a lot in this report, so I'm expecting to be here a while. So let's start around. Councillor Gallen.
As you say about the fee, LGZ, I assume that from what I can gather, you can tap into that and get a lot of information for you guys mainly, and use the lawyers and that sort of stuff. I understand. I guess that's part of the plus we get out of it. A lot of money for bang for your bucks for the ratepayer. Do have another one.
So
Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
yeah, I do. So I could actually talk. So I've recently used it. LGNZ uses a group that allows us to connect in with other parts of the country, other councils of the country, and I've recently used that. We've had an offer of a bequest, which is slightly unusual. I haven't come across it before, so I used this process to connect in with other councils and seek advice as to whether other councils have come across this kind of bequest and what the risks were with doing that. There's training available through LGNZ. I know they do a lot of lobbying with central government around issues that we face, particularly, GST on rates has come out recently. I think that came out today with Brad Olson. So they support a lot of council activity. Other than that, I know some councils were getting procurement benefits through it, and at the stage we're not using procurement benefits through LGNZ at all. So we often when we do procurement, it's with our remaining two councils and the Wairarapa or as ourselves as a buying group. So training for staff as well comes through there, but it's mostly a lobby group on behalf of local government to central government. Yeah.
It's if I compare LGNZ today to where it was previously, a different leadership, it's a totally different beast. I struggle at times. I don't really think despite the fact where I attended the rural and provincial, and please, I'm going to repeat the invitation. When these conferences come up, you are all welcome to attend them. But what a lot of concern from the rural and provincial mayors at the last, as a result of the last RMP, was that they brought in the metro sector. And we were having conversations around policy settings, and it would be fair to say that some people were annoyed that metro were expressing views that were totally contrary to rural. But the fact that we were all in the same room, that voice got heard more. I guess the question, there's a lot, and we've got Alex Walker, who's on the council, representing rural councils. I find them very woke. I find them very PC. I find them very left. I find them very critical of this government, which is not helpful if you're trying to lobby this government for extra funding for FARs or for other things that you want to do. Political neutrality is a very wise stance to adopt. And if you're going to criticise a government policy, stick to the policy that you're criticising or challenging or lobbying on. So, I'd give them a 5 out of 10 from what I've seen to date. But the reason I give them 5 is that the training opportunities are generic. They've always been there, and they shouldn't be underestimated. There's value in that. On the occasion you need advice, it is there. The counterfactual is that if you're not in part of LGNZ, then where are you going to be? And that raises the question around C4LD, which is the other body. I like the style of C4LD, make no bones about it. I find them very strongly rural. But it's a judgment call. And at this stage, do we want to be changing horses midstream?
I figure it's one of those things at a cost.
Yeah, either way, you'd still be making a contribution to C4LD as well. And you got to know you got to know exactly why you'd leave one to go to the other. I have my personal view, but that doesn't count here. It's a team decision around what's important right now. But if we can, I guess it is fair to say you get out of an organisation what you put in. And if we had the time to be in their rattling cages and doing more to make ourselves heard stronger, we might be. I don't know. But I just think they need to sort their political alignment out, because it does seriously impact. And it's fair to say that the government has noted who the chair is, who the president is, who the vice president is, and there's an issue there for the government. So we'll see how we go with LGNZ over the next 2 years or 3 years that are yet to run.
So are you saying that bigger councils with more resources can have more impact on what LGNZ does, whereas we've got hundreds of other things we need to be more worried about?
Well, Councillor Lawrence, that's a really good question, because what I'm actually finding is the bigger councils are going around them. Okay. Bigger councils who've got the sway and who feel that they're able to put together a good package because they can employ the right people to do that work are going around them. And, yes, they are lobbying government, and yes, they are doing what they're there to do. The effectiveness will only be judged the effectiveness after a year or so has passed. But
Is Auckland pulled out?
Auckland's out, and Auckland's doing very well and getting. Auckland knows there's a minister for Auckland. How much better can you get? We don't have a minister for Carterton, although we could ask. But it's
The next minister for Carterton.
I'm very measured in participation there, because I just don't find they really listen. Not to be honest. The criticisms I heard is some quite childish workshops that are a little demeaning, staff-driven agendas with staff-orientated outcomes that they seek. Now, if you've got time to sit down and write a paper and do an analysis and work out what's true, what's not, then fill your boots. But I think most of us got more on our plate and higher priorities than writing a performance assessment on LGNZ. We just go along, take what we can get out of it, Jeff.
I'd hope that we'd be able to get some support around for the likes of forestry, that sort of thing. There's a number of changes that are coming through from the Resource Management Act, spatial planning, fast tracking legislation, and certainly LGNZ gives really good updates and in some cases, legal advice on those changes and how they may impact council.
Yeah.
We use them frequently.
I think behind the scenes, but behind the first row, the quality advice that Jeff is dealing with, the officers that Jeff is dealing with, is very good. Very good. Councillor Chair Campbell.
So kind of following on, Steve, from your question, so bang for buck for that 29K, we're definitely getting, or management are getting through.
Value for money?
We're definitely getting value for money.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Other parts of the paper. Councillor Cradley.
Thank you, His Worship. Jeff, page 80, the cemetery signage. I think it's going to be good to remind the dog owners.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that sign's been erected yet, but can wording be added to that which alludes to the fact that the dogs will be excluded from entering the cemetery if the rules continue to be ignored? A little bit more persuasion around the signage.
We can have a look at that. It's good feedback.
Signage went up today, so it's standard signage that goes through all of our parks. We've got that consistent information going through all of our parks and reserves, so those signs have been up to date.
Yes, we'll see how it goes, but I think that's a fair assessment, Councillor Crackney. If we do have persistent problems, we need to increase our activity in the area. I think it's
It applies everywhere, doesn't it?
I think the cemetery, is probably more sensitive as an area than our usual parks. So I take Councillor Crackney's point.
Well, someone might get quite offended if they said go to visit their loved one's grave and see a dog lifting its leg on it.
Or when someone dies and they have a pet and the pet is wanting to be taken as the person isn't put on the ground, and they're restricted from doing that. So I think it'd be good to have some messaging around the exclusion.
Councillor Della.
Yeah, thank you. Page 79, just looking at parks and reserves. The preparation for Anzac Day, obviously it's been and gone, and I attended the dawn service and the one in Carterton, and I was actually really proud of our council and our staff for the presentation of the two memorials. Really well done, all painted and spruced up, and all the gardens looking good and the lawns done. Thanks to the volunteers out at Gladstone that look after that ground. They do a really good job out there in it, and even in the dark, it looked really amazing. So, so if you just pass that on, Jeff, to Clint and his team for making sure our Memorial Square and our Gladstone complex looked really good on the day.
Yeah.
There was some good feedback coming back on the preparation from. Okay, so
Amen to that. Said the same thing myself.
Yeah, can I?
Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I really want to follow on from Councillor Della. There's a lot in this report, and having, as all of us have been, having been involved in the LTP consultation events at the railway station and all around town, and then the natural contact that we get. Honestly, the predominant feedback I get from people is that what the council does is benefiting them either directly or indirectly. And certainly, notwithstanding some of the social media pop-ups, the general, and I just want to pay a compliment to council, but also respect to the community for being, we understand it's cost of living crisis and times are tough and that, but for the most part, people are soldiering on and enjoying the best part of what it means to live in places like Carterton. So it's kind of a pat on the back for everybody. it is tough times, we acknowledge that, but for the most part, the people in this building and in this organisation are bending over backwards to improve people's lives, not the other way around. So
Yeah.
there's a lot going on for anybody to read this report. There's a huge amount going on by a lot of people. So thank you.
Other questions? Councillor Cretney.
Thanks, His Worship. Same page, page 80, the reservoirs. I'm just thinking about our resource consent conditions for the new reservoirs and discharge for land and so forth. I'm just wondering, has anything shown up to be concerned about with the testing, and can the results be published of the testing that's occurred?
That's a good question. I know we brought the information through to, was it Projects and Policy, or did we bring it through to the Wastewater Treatment Advisory Group? So that should be a public agenda. So that those results will have been included in that agenda. So it will be public. Yep.
Yeah.
And at this stage of, we're still going through the 12-month period of testing, and I haven't heard Lawrence give me any feedback that we've got any major issues as part of those results.
That's great.
Councillor Cretney.
Page 83, you have a picture in there of the culvert extension on Hughes Line. I'm just wondering, are you able to give an indication of the cost to complete that work for the people who live on Hughes Line, just to get an understanding of what it's cost to upgrade those culverts, and whether there's any more like that to be done along Hughes Line, just so there's an indication of what it actually costs.
That'd be useful, because we have a number of roads where I argue culvert should be extended.
It's a great question. Obviously, I haven't got the answer off the top of my head. I think I'll note that and bring it through to Projects and Policy. I will note that Johannes and the team committed to making this happen this summer. It was meant to be done last winter. Obviously, it was way too wet in the winter to do it. We had a number of Hughes Line residents give us some pretty direct feedback as to they thought it should be done sooner. I am very pleased, as you are, to have it done and that extension complete. So, but I will find the cost and bring that up to one of our either Projects and Policy. I think will be the next meeting.
Thank you. And
Yes, go.
another question on page 85. It's been mentioned that the groundwater in the road, which isn't a surprise, it's very high. Has the consent been approved for that?
The work started. So yes, I believe the consent. And interestingly, slightly ironic, we had to get a consent to discharge the groundwater out of the trench that we were digging, and we had to notify the affected party, who was
Us.
us. So we found that reasonably stupid.
Hope we didn't object.
Yes, you would hope we did.
Why didn't we?
For something ridiculous.
If Johannes were here, he would tell us, but that was just bureaucratic folly. That we had to get a consent and we were the affected party.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Lawrence, please.
A question for Robin. Corporate Services, page 83. Long-term plan consultation. As of the 19th, we had 3 people who wanted to be heard. Is that gone up?
One.
No. We still only got 3?
Or in the last email that we got showed that there were 54 submissions and 4 wanted to be.
So 4, it hasn't gone up since 4.
Email came through the other day.
Read them, I suppose.
Yeah, read your emails.
So right.
Any other questions? I'm astonished. Alan?
I haven't got a question. I was just amazed on page 70 that ACC have 800% increase in actions You know, if that was a workplace, they'd just shut it down.
Doesn't reflect that on their website. Where did that number come from?
Yeah,
Because I went to their website and it's not that at all. In fact, it's lower.
I've sent an email asking for confirmation of that.
So where did that number come
It
from?
was very, very high.
And I meant, don't even look at mountain biking. That's huge.
Yeah, so there's over 65 positive aging. You're right. So that's and I wonder if it's no, I won't link it to the senior games.
Well,
You'd hope that those that were competing in the senior games were actually more mobile.
so
More wire ropes.
2015, cycling was 1,530 and 2023, it's 1,590, sorry, 1,778. That's not an 800% increase.
I'll find out when we got it from and come back to you.
And doesn't take into account population increase. Doesn't give you, and what, if you go to the website, it gives you the caveats around their stats, which are quite serious caveats. They're not little notes, they are quite serious. So I guess, a figure like that needs some context around it.
Yeah. Well,
Otherwise, and so that would draw my question to, why do we need to do a pedal ready training? I don't see if there's a dispute around if there's question around the number, the percentage, then what's the cost of the pedal ready training? Why would you do it? Question. And can I just, while we're on that page,
I think Councillor
Councillor Ayling, go, please.
Hi, just two quick questions. Wondered what the cost of the traffic management plan was for Anzac Day service and what the cost is of the tree coming down. I saw on Facebook it's coming down tomorrow. Just wondering what the two costs of those activities are.
Cost of the traffic management is around $12,000. So that is the cost of the traffic management plan and the traffic management on the day. The reason that it's so high is it's because it's state highway.
Yes.
So I think this conversation came up a couple of years ago with the council around, do we look at alternative options for the state highway road closures for events? And at the time, the council voted to continue with the status quo. So we've continued to support with these traffic management fees.
And then wasn't it the fact we talked about another route, but Park Road, because it went on to State Highway 2, was also needed the same safety as well. We went into the square because it was an accessible route. Pretty sure that was.
So is there a traffic management plan for the tree, since that's quite central as well? Is there?
No, it's in the park.
It's in the,
It's far enough back.
It's right above the skate, the current skate.
Just put out some comms today where we are closing the park for the day for the tree removal, so we won't have public in that area. I don't have the figure for how much the tree removal is, but we do have that within our existing budgets.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, past that cost.
You've just gone to a lot of trouble. The CE's gone to a lot of trouble to produce this report.
great report,
You have done a fantastic job.
really good report, lots of information.
Are there no other questions, no other comments? Then I just want to close. I mean, I said it at the ELT and I'll say it here again in support of Councillor Della. I just think that Parks and Reserves did an outstanding job for in preparation for Anzac Day and supporting out at Mangaroku. And the feedback I've had has just been overwhelmingly positive, and the gratitude of our veterans should be noted because and families, because it was really good performance. Yeah. So thank you for that. Moving after all that work. Do I have a mover? Councillor Sherry Campbell first up and Councillor Dallas seconded. That council receives the report. Right. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion's carried. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Recommendation to.
Recommendation to endorses. Oh, yes, of course. Second recommendation that we endorse the payment of the annual subscription invoice to LGNZ for the tune of as quoted. Someone to move, please. Deputy Mayor, second to Councillor Cretney. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. 9. And before we introduce you, while we're in the frame where we're recognising people, I received a card. I just want the council to know I received a wonderful card in the mail. Oh, not in the mail. Attached to a bottle of vino, a very high quality vino, thanking me for the performance of Solitaires Branch and herself. And so I passed the card and the bottle of vino across to her team, so you enjoy it. But accolades from people who are doing property developments like that are rare and should be noticed. So congratulations to your team. So I've done a really good job, and there's one very happy Alex Walker out. Was it Alex? One very happy property developer out there. And over to you. Floor's yours.
Thank you, Your Worship, Deputy Mayor Williams and councillors.
Thank you.
This report should be a reasonably straightforward report. You will see that we did some quite significant changes to our animal control last year with the tags, and we did increase the fees. Having a look at the budget lines, I don't believe there is justification for the increases. This is one of those areas where it very much is a user pays with the animal control. The exception to it is, while this is setting the dog control fees, the activity as a whole is animal control.
Mm-hmm.
So that is your funding split being that 70 to 30% public and private. Covers the likes of my team and Murray, who were out chasing sheep around the Gladstone pub most of this morning and couldn't find their owners. It's all of that, when we can't find owners, what the people that come in with an injured dog to us, it's not registered. We can't do anything for it. We take it to the vet. It needs to be euthanized. We can't find owners, and that's a direct cost to the ratepayers to put an animal out of its suffering. So I just want to highlight, there's definitely parts of our business unit that falls within that 30 to 20% of the public good. Other than that, I will just take the report as read and will answer any questions if needed.
So I have a question while everyone's thinking of theirs. So what you're suggesting here is that despite inflation, despite the tightening economy, despite everything every other council is doing, your recommendation is that we not increase dog fees.
It should not be a department that makes money.
Yeah.
And we're ticking along well. We recover costs where we can. And if we can support the ratepayers just a little bit by having a pet dog where they're not getting increased fees every single year, I think that's a really good thing.
That's
Would you declare a conflict of interest?
Thankfully, she's paying
She's
dog
not
fees.
paying dog fees in Cardigan. This is South Wairarapa. Those dogs.
Dogs ought to be
No.
declaring a conflict. And the other thing you will note with this report is, while the fees do get included in our schedule of fees and charges at the annual plan and long-term plan stage, because there's a requirement to notify them a month prior to the registration year, we always bring this paper to elected members.
Fantastic. Are there any questions from our esteemed councillors? Well, yes, Councillor Aileen, thank you.
I just had one quick question on how the new dog tags are going. Any feedback?
We've replaced a couple of them earlier on in the piece, and they were the ones that didn't have the heat wrap on them. The ones that have had the heat wrap appear to be going really well. We're not getting masses of people through the doors complaining. I think there was initial, when you do anything that's a change.
Yeah.
People don't like it. And then once I get used to it, it's fine. But we do have some of the ones that haven't got the heat wrap on them. And we're actually going to just do that ourselves in our downtime.
Awesome, thank
Your
you.
downtime.
Find other.
Well, just.
Gladstone sheep rustling.
Yeah. No other questions?
Round it.
You're highly in danger of having given us a dog pound for only, what was it, 70K and not 400?
We're under
75?
budget.
75K as opposed to 400 and how many thousand? And now, and the lifelong dog tag, and now this, you're overachieving. Yeah, you and your team. Thank you. Someone like to move? Councillor Cretney, second, Councillor Dalla. All in favour?
All right.
Against? Abstentions, motion's carried. Thank you.
And all three.
Congratulations for all dog. Oh, that's just receiving the board. Now we'll do the. Wait, there we are. I'm just so excited by it. This is the first time I put through something we were not increasing fees. Do all three together.
Two and three.
Two and three together. Two and three together, adopting the dog control fees and give fees as written there. Someone to move. Councillor Cherry Campbell, seconded by Councillor Gallen. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Thank you, overachiever. Stop it.
I won't let the door from one person if he doesn't first.
Right. Getting all excited and carried away, and I don't even own a dog. 7.9, service requests and complaints.
I'll take this one. So as I mentioned previously, we're doing a standard report on the number of service requests and complaints that we get, similar to the Lugoima report that follows this. And it's mostly around non-financial performance metrics so that council can see the number of requests that we get in, the areas where we're getting those requests and how we're performing against those. Before we get to annual report time, when it's kind of like, surprise, this is the performance metric and this is how we did. As you can see, we do seem to get quite a lot of service requests coming in on a regular basis. And there are a range of everything, particularly water, everything from broken pipes through to it smells funny, I think was one funny colour. Sorry, that was it. It didn't smell funny, it was funny. But anyhow, the purpose of this report is just to share with you and the public the number of service requests and the type of requests we are getting, because there's a lot of things that go on that no one ever sees.
Yeah. And
answering this amount of request on a regular basis does keep us very busy.
Outstanding. Councillor Cretney.
Thanks, His Worship. Page 99, abandoned cars. Are council picking up those cars or the council arrange for someone to come and pick those cars up? And what does it cost for the average?
If we can identify whose car it is, we'll obviously contact the owner. Often the abandoned cars, we're unable to identify the owner. They can be burnt out or whatever, similar to the ones down it's not Houston, but the East Taratahi Road. So council ends up dealing with those. The cost to council is based on tonnage because we have to send them through to Envirocare, take them away for us, and we pay based on tonnage. $30. Anyhow, I can't recall what the figure is, but we pay on weight. Comes to waste.
You sell them to Wairarapa scrap metal.
Yeah. Don't they pick up?
Yeah, they're not in good shape by the time we get them.
Yeah.
Roading issues, other, still 19, there's still a few not action by the sound of it. By looking back on the overdue, there's 30 roading issues overdue. Are they, what are they?
So I get this report weekly.
Yeah.
And the overdue ones tends to be things that aren't necessarily safety related. So they could relate to street signs that are missing, that are, often there's a street sign that's fallen. So one of the bolts, you may see them, they're hanging. Where they are a danger to the public, we clearly address them fast. It may be a repeat fault, so there could be a single fault that is being addressed and we've got a number of other complaints. We try and link the two together, but yeah, they generally, the ones that are overdue are in train, they're programmed. We just haven't got the team to them yet.
Thank you.
Question following on from that. I thought we were gonna make sure we got back to people who acknowledged their service request.
Yes, they do.
So I put a personal thing here. There was broken glass outside South End School and the principal stopped me and said there was broken glass on the road. And so I put a service request on April the 11th and I never heard back and the principal was still nagging me like a week later about it.
Okay.
Just an example of where it didn't work. I often put them in and it goes really, really well and they're quick to respond, but it is sometimes missed. And that was a safety thing from the principal's perspective with the kids on bikes and scooters. And
State Highway 2.
I don't know who's responsible. I don't know. Anyway.
So the purpose of putting this report in is to help us improve our service. So thank you for that. That's exactly what I'm looking for by making this public and transparent, is that, there are areas where we can improve and we always look to do that. I appreciate the feedback.
I put in a service request yesterday and they actually picked my voice. And they fixed it the same day.
There you go. We've got two extremes. Nothing happened and something happened.
And mostly have very good experience.
Imitate Councillor Gallen.
Yeah.
Councillor Gallen's put a new service request, but look, I appreciate all sorts of feedback. The point of this is to show I'm doing my work on improving our performance. I want us to be like the conversation you had with the bank. You phone them up, you deal with whatever it is, and then afterwards you get the, hey, we've got your request, we've done this, thank you very much. We are a service organisation and I would like to improve our service to the community.
Yeah.
Just had a look at the service request. There was an automated email that went straight out when it got logged.
Oh.
So it might be in your spam because it
Okay.
would have come from
The same
an
one.
individual person that knows. So the day it was
Okay.
logged, it went out within about 2 minutes of the being typed in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stand corrected.
Do we record your apology?
Take apologies, staff.
Thank you, Salty.
Thanks, Solitaire.
Any other questions?
Appreciate you.
Questions or flattering comments? I only got one question. So one of the things I really like about the way the website's been adjusted, there's been a lot of discussion over the last 12 months about service requests and complaints and that, and you've made some changes. One of the neat changes is you've got the service request block right up in the top right-hand corner of the website on the home page. If anyone misses that, interested to know why, but at the same time I know councillors are also steering people to service requests. We all are, and we are all putting in service requests for people who don't know how to do it, and I've got to say the responses I've had have been excellent so far. But I'm interested in seeing what the tracking's like, because we had a period where service requests weren't that commonly being used. It was the telephone and yelling at a councillor, and that seems to, I get the sense that that's shifted, but I can't see it. What's the tracking showing, particularly since you made those changes on the website? Is it showing you that you got a definite improvement?
We'll pull some data and have a look at it. It's early days, but happy to do that.
Yeah, no, just compliment you on that, and I too have put in a few service requests and there've been good responses. Maybe there's a conversation here around this whole question of satisfaction surveys and maybe the data. And here could be a useful bit of data. I'm looking at Councillor Ayling, who's nodding. Yeah, it's just food for thought, because we still have to address that question, don't we?
There are. There are some of these metrics in here that are specified by the Department of Internal Affairs that we have to monitor. Footpaths, roads, etc. There are some specified metrics, and there are other areas that we are just doing because it's part of our business.
Have we had any service requests asking us for a survey on customer satisfaction?
No.
No, just wanted to ask that question. So no one is asking us to conduct a customer satisfaction survey for the record.
Probably will now.
Just for audit purposes, yeah. All right then, so thank you very much. Recommendation, we receive the report, please. Councillor Campbell, and who was the other hand I saw going up there? Councillor Newman, thank you. All in favour? Aye. Against? Motion's carried. Thank you. 7:10.
It's similar to the previous report, which is voluntary. We choose to do that report. This is the requirement under Local Government Information Act, which we are required to produce on our Official Information Act requests. Deputy Mayor.
It's shorter than usual.
Is that all? Get on there.
Have you not put in your Lagoimas yet?
Well, it's good that it's not absorbing too much staff time this month, so.
Question, I've got a question round
Yes.
one of them, which is at the bottom of page 106 and goes through to 107. Are we still looking at lowering the speed limits outside schools? Because that one is reflective of, I believe, Gladstone School.
You are correct. The speed management plan will lower speeds outside early childhood education areas and schools. The request here at Gladstone extended well beyond the school boundary, and what we've done with that request is the roading team have been out there, had an on-site visit and agreed to clear some of the berm areas where line of sight was more of an issue. So I understand that the roading team have actually had an on-site meeting, and that the requester is now quite satisfied with the answer. So we will continue with the speed management review, which will formally reduce speeds, or particularly around schools. But in this case, it was a much longer area because the road is narrow and it's
That's what the Minister of Transport didn't Lanyon say on.
Yeah, so we have to finalise the work and submit it to the Land Transport. We hope to have it submitted by the end of May, and then thereafter, the end of May, the Director of Land Transport will consider it. We don't have a time frame as to when he will do that.
Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Ayling, please.
I don't want to give council staff more work on their plate, but I just wonder how much harder it would be if you included the answers to the Lagoimas in this report. Seeing as they are published on the website, it would be quite useful for them to be in the report as well, so we don't have to go between the website and the report.
Yes.
Maybe we could just have a link for it, and then
I'm happy to put a link. All of the Lagoima and the answers are published on the website, obviously with redacted information. I was kind of hoping to keep one source of the truth, being the website with the Lagoimas. Yeah, like
A link.
we can,
a link
a
would
link.
be enough.
I could build a link.
Happy with the link, Councillor Ayling? Yeah.
Yep, link's good.
Could you print off copies for the Deputy Mayor, because
Yeah, what's a link?
it's in your wristwatch strap, or your bike chain. It's one of those things in your bike chain.
Ah, perfect. I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. Rightio. Okay, someone to move, we receive the report, please. Councillor Della, Councillor Newman, all in favour? Aye. Against? The motion is carried. Thank you very much for that. Again, exclusion of the public. There is nil. Karakia whakamutanga. Something like Councillor Cherrycam. Thank you.
Kia tau, kia tātou katoa, te atawhai o toa tātou ariki, a ihu kara iti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhi ngā tahitanga, ki te wairoa taku aki. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Got it. Thank you. Thanks very much, Steve.